Build and they will come. At least that's what I used to think when I was a student here at Waterloo, working on my fourth year project. I was always proud of being an engineer, solving technical challenges. And I always felt that if I could solve this incredibly amazing problem, then people would buy this thing. Little did I know that I was very wrong. But also little did I know that sometimes I was right. The art and science of market analysis. Before I get started, a little bit about me. I am a Tron 2008 alumni. I was in the same class as Matt Rendell, who's the CEO of ClearPath Robotics. We worked on the same robotics project together in our first year. It was Lego Robot. We didn't win, but it was a good experience. I love working with product teams. I've been doing it for 10 years. My expertise is in product management and product development. I've worked on projects that have ranged from robotics to medical surgical training devices, nuclear sensors, so sensors that would get installed into the nuclear power turbines of Pickering Nuclear Power Station or Darlington, and most recently, water disinfection systems. I love the tech community. I'm an avid contributor to it. I work with Waterloo Alumni Angels, where I connect startups with angel investments. I also founded TronCon, which is a yearly mechatronics convention that I host with the help of University of Waterloo. And I've been doing it for 5 years now, and it's kind of like a TED Talk style event where we try to get all the fourth year design projects to show off their things and the alumni to come back and also do TED Talk style events. And finally, in my free time, I have a company called Beyond STEM, where I teach kids about robotics and coding. I wouldn't call myself a full entrepreneur, to be honest, because I am focused on having a full-time career, and at the same time I do this on the side. This is a bit of my baby. I'm a baby entrepreneur. I don't take the full risks that real entrepreneurs do, but that's just my personality. That's enough about me. Let's do a little thought experiment. You're working on your fourth year design problem. You've been tasked to do this amazing project. And just the other day, the movie Avatar came out. First 3D movie to hit the theaters. And everybody loves this movie. Everybody who's gone to this movie comes back to you and says, this is amazing. I love 3D. So you think to yourself, oh man, if 3D is so amazing, I want to bring that experience to people in their living room. So you, as an awesome fourth year design student, decide to make the first 3D TV, bring the 3D TV experience home. I mean, you've had awesome feedback, people. Why not? So, being the smart, intelligent Waterloo students that you guys are, you beat Sony, LG, all those guys to market. You came up with this TV for your fourth year project, showed it off in the symposium, and wow, what a crazy hit. Everybody who came to this loved it. So you're like, all right, we're going to set up our startup. So you go on, you embark on your startup, you got this 3D TV, people love it, you build your team, you bring in investments, you take a huge loan, you order your stuff from China, you're waiting for it to come in, it comes in finally 6 months later, a year later, but you have it, you ship your products to your customers, and you wait for more orders. You're excited, like, wow, this is it, guys. But then you wait, and you wait, and there are no more orders. And then one day, one of your co-founders comes to you and says, damn, we should have done some market analysis. What is market analysis? Well, market analysis is a whole bunch of things, to be honest. It's quite exciting. I never appreciated it as an engineer, but I did after I graduated and I worked in the real world. There are many aspects to market analysis. There are things like sizing and segmentation, analyzing the political landscape to see if your product's going to be a good fit. The economic environment. Is this a good opportunity for you to launch your product? Social aspects, technology factors, environment, demographics, competition, user experience. All of this is part of the market analysis process. So what went wrong with 3D TV? Well, I kind of highlighted some of the aspects here in blue for you. You can see that, first of all, the user experience for 3D TV in a living room was pretty crappy. I mean, I used to wear glasses, and for me to have to wear another pair of glasses on top of that and sitting in my living room, like that's a pretty terrible experience. And for somebody who doesn't wear glasses, to have to force them to wear glasses to watch a movie is not that great either. I mean, 1 in 4 people that I've spoken to have complained about having headaches and dizziness after watching 3D movies. The economics just weren't right at the time. What had happened was 2 years before the launch of 3D TV, America had just gone through a transitionary phase where people had to upgrade their TVs from analog to HD TV. So millions of people upgraded their TVs to get HD TV for compatibility, and then all of a sudden 3D TV comes out and they don't have the same incentive to have to upgrade their TV again. On top of that, if they bought a 3D TV, they're going to have to purchase additional hardware, additional expenses. Why are you going to do all that? Especially if you have a crappy user experience. Socialist aspects, I mean, come on guys. Think of this situation. You have a whole bunch of friends that are coming over to your house. 10 of them actually, big part of your hosting. You got this 3D movie with you. Your friends come over and you realize, crap, you don't have enough 3D glasses. Maybe they brought their own 3D glasses, but hey, guess what? Not all 3D glasses were compatible with the TVs at the time. So all in all, this failed. And if they had done this market analysis, they would have seen the seeds of the failure early. Here's an analogy of why to conduct market analysis through pictures. I love pictures. Simply put, who do you want to be here? Do you want to be this guy in the forest, thirsty, looking for water? You have no idea where to go. You don't see what's 10 feet in front of you because of all the trees. Or do you want to be this guy, standing on top of a mountain? You have a clear picture of where you are, where the water is, where you need to get to, how to get there through the obstacles. That's analysis, folks. Now, just to quantify it a little bit more, make it a little bit more concrete, 3 things that are important as to why you want to do market analysis. Number 1, it reduces the risk of a bad product market fit. It informs your design and your marketing efforts. Number 2, knowledge to build competitive advantage. It informs your strategy. Just like the guy we saw earlier standing on top of the mountain there, if you have a competitive view, if you have a view of the competitive landscape of where your product is being targeted for, then you can come up with a very specific strategy to make sure that you can own a certain market segment. So, market analysis it informs your strategy. Number 3, quantify opportunity for profit. And this you want to do for yourself and for investors that may want to invest in your company. So this drives your business plan. I mean, for me personally, I would want to do a very extensive market analysis because I want to know that, hey, if I have a business, then this business better be a really viable business. It's got to make me money, all that effort I'm putting into it. On top of that, the investors also want to know they're going to make money. So you have to quantify the opportunity for them in some way. In a very simple flow diagram here, I show that the input to market analysis is obviously market research, and the output is a whole bunch of things here. It's critically important to your business, such as product strategy, value proposition, price, promotion, product features, and the place that you're going to be selling your product. So the mindset I'd like you guys to take when you think about market analysis is don't ask, do I need market analysis? Of course you do. Everybody needs market analysis. Rather ask, when do I need market analysis, and how much market analysis do I need? Here's an example. It's critical that you first begin by defining a market. What is the market anyways? What is your market? Simply put, it's the potential buyers of your product. That's the simplest definition that you can come up with. As an example, the retail sales of cookies in Canada amount to 243 million Canadian dollars in 2006. Okay? I have captured the statistics somehow from some report. I happen to be launching strawberry chocolate cake cookies. Okay, that's my company. I want to launch this product. Now, what this tells me, what this research tells me, is that that's how much people are willing to pay for cookies from retail stores. If somebody's going to Sobeys or No Frills to buy something, that's the total amount Canadians are willing to pay for. So I'm not going to make more money than that. In fact, I'm going to take only a small slice of that market. And then I have to come up with a number. How much of that market can I possibly take with this particular product? 10%, 5%, 1%? Is it worth it? Now, when we talk about market size and market definition, these two aspects are critically important. So, here's another example. Standalone digital cameras in Canada. These are fictitious numbers, just for example purposes. But the market for standalone digital cameras in Canada is, let's say, $1 billion a year. Now, if I said standalone digital cameras in Canada and the US, obviously the market's going to be bigger. It's going to be maybe 10 times larger because they have 10 times larger population. You have to be very careful about market definition because, you know, there's a saying that says there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Well, I can also say there are lies, damn lies, and bad market definition. So when you hear somebody say that, hey, the potential market opportunity for us is like $10 billion, you gotta really dissect what they're saying here. As an example, something as simple as me, from the first example, removing the word standalone and just saying digital cameras in Canada and the US multiplies my market by a factor of 10 almost. Why? Because we're no longer talking about simple standalone cameras. We're talking about cameras that are embedded inside your laptop and your cell phones. Why is this relevant? Well, imagine you have just discovered a new type of sensor that is super high quality, super low cost, and it can be integrated into standalone cameras, cell phones, and computers, and many other things. Well, for you, the market opportunity is much higher than somebody who just built an innovative standalone camera. So keep the definition in mind and dissect it really well. Now, there are different approaches to doing market analysis. Two important things I want you guys to take away is that there's a difference between targeting a market, targeting an existing market, and creating a new market. So, in this example, what I have is my same strawberry chocolate cake cookies. If I were to try to penetrate the cookie market, then I'm only going to take a slice of the cookie market. People aren't going to pay more to buy extra cookies. They're going to buy the same amount of cookies. They're just going to replace their existing purchases, maybe with my product. So I'm not going to increase the size of the market. It's still going to be around $250 million in Canada. But what if I were to launch a completely new type of cookie, which is, let's say now I'm allowed to do because Canada is going to go and allow us to do stuff like this. Well, this is cookie with weed infused in it, so it's going to make you high. This is a completely different market than what I just spoke about earlier. People who buy traditional cookies are going to still buy traditional cookies, and maybe they will also purchase marijuana-infused cookies. So we have created an entirely new market, and I want you guys to be aware of when you're creating a market and when you're targeting an existing market, because the strategy for market analysis is going to be different for each of them. Here's another example of creating a market. GoPro. Before the GoPro came out, people were using standard DSLR cameras and your normal traditional digital cameras. They weren't able to take their cameras on these crazy activities outdoors. But once the GoPro came out, all of a sudden people could take their camera with them on these very extreme activities. Now, the people who buy GoPros aren't looking to buy these traditional cameras. And the people who buy the traditional cameras aren't looking to buy the GoPro for their particular activities. In fact, the traditional camera buyers will also purchase a GoPro when they go out and do extreme sports. You have just created a completely new market. They're not eating into the profits of each other. Market analysis methodology. Here's how it works. Very briefly, and then I'll go through an example because there's a lot of text here. So you're going to start off by sizing your market and segmenting your market. You're going to target your market. You're going to conduct some market research. There's different types of market research that you can conduct. I'll go over that with you. You can analyze the risks and opportunities. And then finally, you can generate some insights from this analysis that will drive your strategy, your product development, your marketing efforts. So this is the example I'm going to use. It's called Little Robot Friends. I actually own some of this hardware at home. Imagine that we are little robot friends. And our product is a little educational robotics platform for young children. It's an interactive little toy. It allows you to program it and interact with it and learn about coding through that process. Now, if we look at Little Robot Friends, we're going to want to say to ourselves, hey, we've got this wonderful little product. We want to launch it out into the market. I wonder what the size of the market's going to look like for us. What's the market potential? And who are we going to be targeting? So in this brief segmentation overview here, we can see that we can segment the market in various different ways. By geography, by demographics, psychographic, behavioral, and many, many more. There's no point going through each of these items over here because past presentations have done a better job. But it's enough to say that from this information, what you can say is, hey, you know what? I'm going to target this product for young girls age 7 to 12. And it's going to be an educational toy. That's going to be the segment, okay? Educational toys for young children age 7 to 12. Now, at this point, after you have identified the market that you want to target, you may want to dive in deeper. You may want to do a persona, detailed personas of each of these segments. And we heard some of that earlier from Carolyn. This is important because most folks don't go deeper than this level when they're doing market analysis, but it is important for you to empathize with your customers and try to figure out as much as you can about them. Now, once you have decided that, all right, we're going to have to segment our market, we need to size it, so you've come up with a segmentation for it, you want to know the size of it, well, I've come up with a little graphic here that will help you understand the different tools that are available for sizing. Now, it's a bit of a range, so depending on whether you're targeting an existing market or targeting a new market, you're going to have different tools that you're going to use to actually conduct your sizing effort. Now, if you have lots of historical information about the market, then you can do what I like to call a top-down MBA-style market analysis. If you have no historical information, then you could do either a back-of-the-napkin freestyle marketing analysis approach for size-up or a bottom-up guerrilla-style size-up approach. I'm going to go through these in a bit more detail. We're going to go back to our example of Little Robot Friends. So we have a wonderful little product here, and we have segmented it as educational toys for young girls, age 7 to 12. We conduct a market analysis effort. We pick up a bunch of reports, articles, we check financial statements for companies, and we get a big picture of, hey, you know what? The size of the toy market in the United States is, $10 billion. 10% of that are educational toys. That brings you to $1 billion. 50% of that are for girls. That brings you to $500 million. 10% of those products are robotics. That brings you to $50 million. Now, out of that $50 million, we're going to take a slice of that for our particular product. Because similar to the cookie example that I told you guys earlier, we're not creating a market with this product. We are slicing into an existing market. Now, we can repeat this exercise for relevant market segments. It's not just going to be the young girls that are going to be buying this product. It's going to be, to some aspect, young boys, elementary school, educators, hobbyists, etc., etc. And what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this exercise for each of these market segments using the various reports that we have collected from the internet, from the library, from resources, from other companies. And we're going to add it together and we're going to get a number. And let's say that number comes out to be $10 million. So we can say to somebody that, hey, our market size is potentially 10 million for our particular product. So what we just went through here is like what I call the MBA style approach. This is what MBAs typically like to do. But it's expensive. It's hard to get some of these detailed reports. So sometimes you're left with a budget, very low budget, and you need to try to figure out how your product's going to do in the market without these detailed reports. In fact, you may not even have historical data for your product. In the example of the GoPro was a fundamentally different product than what used to be on the market. It was a market creator. Therefore, there were no products on the market that you could compare the GoPro to come up with a sizing scenario. So what do you do in situations like this? Well, what you do is you do the guerrilla-style bottom-up sizing effort. You're trying to basically do a litmus test of how the market's going to respond to your product. Is there a demand for this product? An easy way to do this without actually going through the expensive and rigorous effort of product development is you create some mock-ups, you create some prototypes with a story, and you test it on the market. Here's an example of one of my friends. His name is Matt. So Matt launched his own line of premium handcrafted luggage bags on Indiegogo. When he launched this product, what he actually did was he built only a couple of these bags, and then he put them on Indiegogo, and he just tested to see how people would respond to this. The response was great. He had $52,000 that were raised. That validated the market for him. So he knew there was demand for it. It's just a matter of him now introducing this product into different channels to try to see how much people end up buying. But this is good enough validation because what this allowed him to do was take this bag to Holt Renfrew, and Holt Renfrew actually picked up this product and has it in their store. So this is essentially guerrilla style sizing up. But there are trade-offs for this, so just keep this in mind. You can imagine a situation where you have a product where you want to keep it a trade secret. You want to keep either the design or the technology away from the eyes of your competitors as you are developing the product before it actually hits the market. So if you were to do something like this, all of a sudden the whole world knows about your product, not just the customers, but your competitors too. So be careful about how you use this style and keep that in mind. And finally, I have what I call back of the napkin sizing freestyle method. As an example, if I were to say to you, what is the market size of slowing down aging? So you make medication that slows down aging. Well, the market size of that is I take my napkin, 7 billion people times all their money, $1 trillion. Basically, it doesn't matter, guys. At this point, if you're solving a big enough problem, similar to what the Waterloo preaches through their problem lab, it doesn't matter. The problems are great enough, they're already recognized by people to be significant in their effect on people's lives. So things like Elon Musk's underground tunnels, a cure for cancer, like I can give you all kinds of examples, would fall into this bucket. So in situations like this, it's not really important for you to come up with a detailed analysis. The product doesn't exist in the market. It doesn't matter. If you can technologically solve the problem, you are done. Going back to our little robot friend example and continuing this effort. So with little robot friends, I mentioned to you that we are doing an MBA style approach because the market already exists. We're slicing into the market. We're targeting a specific market. So we can come up with a fairly accurate number of what we expect the market to be. The next thing we want to do is we're going to continue our market research. So I'm not going to get into details of this, but I want to give you guys a brief overview because the tools exist, and all I want to do for you today is recognize what the tools are, what the processes are, and then you can learn about this on your own by reading books, checking out Google. So once you've defined your market size and the segmentation, you're going to conduct your research. There are different types of research. You can do primary research. You can go up to your users, conduct interviews, prototype tests, surveys, so you're directly interacting with your users to get feedback regarding your product. You can do secondary research by reading market reports, news articles, financial statements, and many more. You can conduct a product canvas exercise, which really takes into account design thinking principles and UX importance. So you can start by targeting your group, defining the big picture, go through the product details, checking out your personas, and all of that. Journey mapping. So all of this stuff is really important as part of your market research. And then you can move on to another tool called PESTEL. So MBAs love this. PESTEL essentially stands for Political, Economic, Social, Technology, Environment, Legal. You want to consider these things in your analysis, as we saw in the 3D TV example. I like to add PESTEL Plus because user experience is one of those things that people don't consider typically in this analysis, but it is critically important, and we'll go in detail as to why. But using this tool, let's say on our little friend example, what I can say is that, hey, you know what? Let's start with the political situation. Okay, so I have a product here. It's an education product for young girls, robotics product. What's the political situation? How is the political situation relating to this product launch? Well, actually, the Canadian government is funding companies heavily, encouraging them to build things like this. They're heavily investing in STEM. So this is a great time, actually, for Little Robot Friends to exist. They can capitalize on a lot of government grants, maybe tax benefits. Economic situation, the economy right now is pretty good. We are at the peak, maybe going through a downturn soon, but as of now, we're still good. Strong economic conditions in Canada, therefore the demand for the product should be high because people's income are fairly high. The social considerations, it is pretty cool right now to be doing stuff like this. Parents are sending their kids to learn more about robotics because they want their kids to be competitive. They want them to come to places like Waterloo. So it's a good time to be Little Robot Friends. Technology is prevalent. The technology used in Little Robot Friends is super cheap and just getting cheaper every day. So from a technological standpoint, great time to be Little Robot Friends. And then there's environmental and legal considerations. I'm going to skip over that now because I think I'm going to be running out of time. There's another framework that you can use to analyze your particular product. This is called Porter's 5 Forces. So to take you through a quick exercise here, imagine with Little Robot Friends, I want to also consider these 5 different dimensions. What does the competition look like for Little Robot Friends right now? Well, what I can say from my analysis is that, hey, the market for targeting girls, specifically STEM programs for girls right now, people aren't doing a great job with it. There aren't enough products to get girls excited about STEM. So with Little Robot Friends, I would say the competition is moderate. It's not high. If I were targeting boys, I would say the competition is pretty high because there's a lot of products out there that exist to get boys excited about this. Power of suppliers, okay, I'm going to skip over that. Threat of entrance, so imagine somebody comes with a brand new product, which is a robot Pikachu, which is programmable. This is a new entrant to the market. This never existed before. This is a threat for me because this Pikachu has a brand that is recognized by kids all over the world. So they have an advantage over my product. If it does the same interactive stuff and programmable features as Little Robot Friends, then I'm in trouble. Threat of substitutes, okay? Different product categories can come and take over my market share. As an example, recently there's another product launch. This is essentially an app that allows you to take your phone and turn it into a little robot. Anybody with an Android phone can turn it into a little robot and program it. Now, if you think about it, a phone has all the features that are embedded into this Little Robot Friend device. It's got a microphone, it's got a wonderful screen, speaker, very touchscreen interface. Like, it's better. It's actually better than this, and people already have it. So this is a threat to this product. And then there are power suppliers and power buyers. I'm going to skip over those for today because how much time do I have? 5 minutes. I'm going to skip over that. But something for you guys to look into. Other tools that exist is you want to look at this diffusion of innovation model. Whenever there's a certain technology out in the environment, it typically has a certain curve where it's called an S curve. So for adoption to take place for that technology, it takes time. An example would be like lithium batteries. It takes a while before lithium batteries are effective enough or cost-effective enough for people to start using them, and then eventually it saturates the market. So you want to try to figure out where your product sits on the S curve. If you're somewhere up here, you don't want to be actually developing that particular technology. You want to look for the next thing. There are other tools for you guys to look into. A SWOT analysis, Porter's value chain model. This allows you to look into the detailed competitive advantage of a business through its internals. SWOT analysis allows you to analyze the internal of a business and the external environment. Again, stuff for you guys to look into. Won't be going through it in detail. And finally, I want to leave you guys with this one thought, and that is vision versus customer-driven thinking. So I have a quote here. It's a very famous one. Most of you probably know it, but I still like to do it because it's a classic. Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. We have an example here of a visionary who came up with an idea, and he did not ask his users what they thought about it. Because if he did ask them, they would have said, no, 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 we want something else. Here's another one, Steve Jobs. It's really hard to design products by focus groups. A lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. What am I trying to get to here? There is a fine balance between vision-driven thinking and customer-driven thinking. Vision-driven thinking is what you think is the best solution for the future. What you think is the best solution for the future. Customer-driven thinking is what customers think is the best solution now. With respect to the iPhone, you can imagine Apple did not ask people, hey, what do you think about us removing the headphone jack? They just did it. They had a vision behind this. But then you have other people like Twitter who have been iteratively evolving their product over time. They don't really have a good vision. This company hasn't really taken off. They're always struggling in the stock market. And that's because they're stuck in this loop of trying to give the customers what they want. So I'd like you guys to think about striking a balance between these two. It's not good to be on either of those extremes. Strike a balance between the two. Don't go the way of 3D TV when it comes to your FYDP project. Go the way of Waterloo. Be in the middle, do your market analysis, and then build something great, and they will come. Thank you.